This video is for entering the first professional agreement invoice for AEs that will take place on this IBG Replace Hot Water Tank project. You can see that I have started on my home page for this project. Invoicing is located under Contract and Procurement. We are doing a professional agreement invoice, so I will click on professional invoicing. As with all things in Unifier, we begin by using the create step. This is the first application, so it is 01. And we want to know the application date. So I will open up my agreements, and I have one with Iron Horse, and it is their pay app number 1. Shrink this down, have a little more real estate. So I can see the date is October 31st, 2020. I can click here and change it to 2020. I can click the month and go to October. So it's quicker if you have to, rather than scroll back through a lot of months. And then I can click the 31st. Apparently they worked on Saturday. The next thing is we want to connect this to an existing agreement. It's asking for the record ID, which no one is going to memorize because we have a lot of those. So we'll click the selection box instead. And this is professional agreements, so it will bring up a list of all professional agreements that I have entered. I can sort this by vendor name in alphabetical order if I would like to make it easier to find an agreement. This is Iron Horse, which I will select. We need to enter an invoice number. We always want a unique invoice number. In this case, we have a very long invoice number. Oops, just move that down so I can see it while I type. And then have we attach the invoice and backup. I will do that in the next step so that I have this available open while I'm filling in the rest of this business process. So we'll go to cost line items. And to start our list, we will, as with other business processes, click Add. When I do that, it brings up the full list of schedule of values that is available for this agreement. We'll scroll back to the agreement. And you notice they're in an interesting order: bidding, CA, design development. It's not really in the order of the pay application. To make that organized, I will sort on cost code, and now it puts everything in the same order that I have on my state pay app. The information I'm going to fill in is the earn to date value. And the only item they are billing for, looks like, is the pre-design phase, or what's called study or programming phase on the invoice, and they're billing $3,000, which is the total amount that they're authorized for that line item. I would never be able to enter a larger number than what is available on that value. If I tried to enter 3,500, for example, I will get an error note right here. So instead, we'll do the actual value. The total amount of the application is $3,000, and that matches my total requested to date. So I now can click Save. By doing that, it removes all the other line items for which there are no requests of payment, and it just has the one line item that matches the pay application. Now I can go back to the first tab. I will have to close this file or I can't attach it. And I will click Browse. And I can actually attach it by dragging it over from the file folder. And upload. And now I can say yes. We'll now send it into workflow. So the next step is it goes for review. The PM and PC team can decide as a team if the PC will enter the invoice, in which case this is going to the project manager for review, or the project manager could enter the invoice, in which case it'll come back to them for review. In this project, I'm playing both roles. And if I was to go to my task manager for this project, I would go to Invoicing and see that I have an invoice to process, and it is in the review step. So I'll accept that task. And I might want to look at the pay application when I'm reviewing it. It will open in a new tab that I can just drag down so it's in a new window that will let me look at the application at the same time I'm looking at the information entered here in Unifier. And I can confirm that indeed we have entered $3,000 against the pre-design phase and didn't accidentally enter it against another design phase. So since this looks good, I will close down that attachment. I will go ahead and send. And I'm sending it off to be signed. This becomes a task for the project coordinators to get the signatures in DocuSign. I now have my project coordinator hat on, and I see that I have a professional invoicing task. If I highlight it and look at workflow progress, I can see that my step is to get signatures. So I would open this document. I wouldn't necessarily need to accept it, but I could download this attachment and route it through DocuSign. We will say that I have already done that, and I now have my DocuSign copy available. So I will now accept the task as a project coordinator. And I will revise the document with the signed one from DocuSign. This is one case where I cannot drag in the file into this window. I need to click the gear icon and then browse. And I have this in a folder on my desktop under Iron Horse, and here's my DocuSign one. I would not normally label my file DocuSign, but this facilitated me uploading the correct documents as part of this training video. And let me check that I indeed have attached the right one that is signed. So we have our signatures, we have our second signature, so indeed I have the correct attachment. Notice the window kind of disappeared. I can go to the icons at the bottom of my screen and go ahead and get my window back visible. I can answer yes, that I have indeed attached that signed invoice and click send. And I've approved it, and it's going to accounts payable. I am going to go ahead, since this is a training project, and actually delete these people because they do not need to have practice emails in their inbox, but FM accounting would be the default on your project. If I wanted to see that invoice, I could either go to professional invoicing, and in the log view, here is our invoice, the amount, it's approved. I can also go to my cost sheet. Double click to open. It opens fully expanded, so I will collapse it to get to a better starting point. This was an AE agreement, so I will expand down to my design bid build agreement. It's broken out by the line items, but I can see here in actuals, here's my $3,000 for that invoice. I can click on anything that's hyperlinked and see the actual document, and I can also double click here and actually open that invoice. You'll notice this information is truncated. I will click the 4 arrow key, it becomes fully expanded. And then to get back to both windows, I can click the 3 dots. And now I can see the full amount of that invoice. As more invoices are billed against the agreement, as I click down to each item, that information will show below. So that is entering the first professional AE invoice. Another video will tell you how to enter the second and additional invoices.